Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to our No Fear Job Search webinar series. I'm sure a few of you have hopefully caught some of the other webinars that we've had so far this week. My name is Paige Lawanig, and I'm a senior marketing specialist here at Jobscan. If you're unfamiliar with Jobscan, we're a Seattle-based company dedicated to building the best online tools for job seekers. This is our second year doing the No Fear Job Search webinar series, and no matter where you're at in your job search today, we hope that this event can help you in some way. Today we have Melanie Denny presenting on the cover letter secrets for the modern job search. Before I hand it off to Melanie, I'd just like to go over a couple of general rules. First, we recommend that everybody have their view on Zoom set to active speaker mode. That'll just make sure that you're seeing which one of us is speaking and seeing Melanie's screen. Also, just to make sure that everyone has a good experience, free of distraction, you'll notice that all of you are on mute and that we're keeping your videos all off for the duration of the session. But having said that, we do want to engage with you and we want you all to be able to share your questions. So if you'll notice, there's a text chat in Zoom here where you can submit your questions or comments throughout the webinar. You'll notice that my colleague Linda is also here, and she will just be monitoring the chat and passing questions along to me and to Melanie. So we just ask you to try and keep your questions to a general nature and also try to keep them related to today's topic, which is cover letters. Also, please hold off in that chat on sharing any kind of networking or links until at least the end of the webinar, because we do want to make sure that we can reserve that chat for questions. Lastly, all of these sessions will be recorded and you'll be able to find them on our YouTube channel in the next week or so. And also hang on till the end of this webinar because we are going to be offering 20% off of Jobscan Premium for new and free members. You'll be able to find that promo code at the end of the presentation. With that, I'm going to turn it over to today's presenter, Melanie Denny. Melanie, thank you and welcome. Please take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here today to talk all about our favorite topic, right? Cover letters. Who doesn't love cover letters? So before we dive in, just a quick overview about me. My name, of course, is Melanie L. Denny. I'm an award-winning resume expert. I have been writing resumes professionally for 12 years. Last week, we made 12 years in business. I have won 2 resume writing awards. I am also certified in LinkedIn strategy. I've been featured on different outlets, including NBC News, HuffPost, Yahoo News, LinkedIn News as a career expert. A lot of my resumes and cover letters have been featured in several books, about 5 or 6. And I love teaching and speaking. That's really what I love to do. So I'm always excited to share with you information, the knowledge I have, expertise to really help you, right? At the end of the day, it's all about you, the job seeker. And so I've spoken all over the world, actually. Last year gave a new opportunity for me to speak internationally, virtually, of course. But a lot of audiences from France and Italy and UAE and Ghana. And I am super excited to be here today. Again, this is not about me at all, but I just wanted to let you know who you were listening to, what I do, what I've been doing. So let's dive in. All right. I want to let you know as well that if you do have questions, please feel free to drop them because I don't like talking for the entire time. I do welcome questions in between as well. So, let me know, Paige or Linda, any questions that may pop up.
Yes, we will.
Okay. So what are we going to cover today? We're going to explore the question of, is the cover letter dead? Because there are some people out there that believe it has died. I didn't go to the funeral, but it may be dead. I don't know. We'll talk about that. We're going to also talk about why employers hate reading cover letters and how to get yours read. And then why maybe you may hate writing cover letters, and then different ways in which you can start to love them. I'm going to be giving 6 secrets to writing a compelling cover letter to get your foot in the door. I'm going to be showing some cover letter examples that have actually worked for some of my clients. And at the end, I'm going to give you a special offer to help Writing your cover letter, easy peasy. All right, so that's what we're going to be talking about today. So let's talk about it. Is the cover letter dead? So I scoured the internet for a lot of statistics because I like to see the numbers, right? And so are they still required? Yes, 64% of vacancies do require a cover letter. That's most. So they are still required. Doesn't sound like they're necessarily dead. Let's keep going. Are candidates using them? A lot of people are not submitting cover letters. 58% do not submit a cover letter, whether it's required or not. So the candidates, you guys are over it. And I totally get it. I hated writing cover letters when I was in the job market as well. But do employers expect to see them? 72% of recruiters expect to see a cover letter, even if they were optional. Okay, interesting. So most employers want to see the cover letter, they expect to see it. However, only 26% of recruiters and hiring managers say that the cover letter is actually useful, right? So with all this information, I think it's pretty safe to say that employers don't necessarily find the cover letters useful, but they do expect to see them, even though most people don't even submit them. And most employers do require them. It's weird, right? Because why are you requiring them if you don't find them useful, right? Either way, I think based on those statistics, especially this one, tells us that the cover letter is alive. It's alive. It's definitely still alive. They may be dying, but they're not dead quite yet. Let's not count them out, right? So here's the thing. If they are alive, but only 26% of employers even find them useful, why do we need the cover letter, right? Well, there's another statistic that I found, right, telling us what they're looking for and what would make a cover letter useful, okay? So here's that breakdown. 63% of recruiters say that the cover letter would be useful if they explained the motivation for wanting to join that company. Another 50% said if they describe their career objectives, that would be useful. If they explain reasons for changing their careers, that would also be useful. Explaining any employment gaps would be useful, and highlighting professional achievements would be useful. These are the things that they want to see. So they expect the cover letter, but they don't find them useful because we miss the mark on what they want or find useful in a cover letter, okay? Here's what we're sending. This template, right? If you scour the internet and put in cover letter templates, you're gonna find something that sounds very similar to this. Hi, hiring manager. I'm writing to express interest in the marketing manager role at your company. After reading the job description, I'm certain I'd be a strong candidate for this position. With 10 years experience working in marketing, I have a degree in marketing. And after starting my career in Coca-Cola as an intern, I believe my knowledge would be of interest to you. I'm a passion for helping people and would be excited to work at your firm. Please review the attached resume for more details. My background and questions, please contact me at number. Thank you. Boring. Like, there's nothing happening here. You're not really hitting the mark, right? Remember what they want to see, why you're motivated to join the company. The most they said was that they believe that their knowledge would be of interest. How so? Like, can we connect the dots, right? You're totally missing the mark with these type of cover letters. Explaining employment gaps, highlighting achievements. There's nothing in here that tells me that you're great at what you do. There's no achievements, there's nothing. And most cover letters, unfortunately, miss the mark and sound something like this. And that is why people, recruiters, hiring managers don't find them useful. Okay. So now, what is it that you could do to make your cover letter get read and make your cover letter useful for a hiring manager, right? Well, the first thing is you could position yourself as the best fit candidate, right? This ties back into that first element of explaining your motivation for joining the company, right? So if you are explaining why you want to work there, it will be more clear to the reader why us versus some other company or some random opportunity, right? So making sure you're explaining something about the company is going to be important. You're going to really need to connect those dots for yourself first and then for the hiring manager. You see, a lot of times we're just applying because I need a job, I need a job, I need a job. Oh, they need a cover letter, slap, 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 throw, go, right? And if you really want to make a bigger impact, you're going to have to put a little bit more intention, not only in your cover letter, but in your resume and in your LinkedIn. And surely you'll join the other sessions that Jobscan has for you today and throughout the weeks on those topics. But if you know what is going to be the common factor between what you're offering and what the company is going through, you can make a much better impact in your cover letter and all of those other things as well throughout your job search. So the first step is really to be able to articulate what it is that you're looking for and how it is that your skills, your background, your passions, etc., are going to be a good match for this specific opportunity. If you don't know that, it's going to be very challenging for you to be able to portray that in a cover letter, right? And again, if we're going about our job search just willy-nilly, it's going to be a challenge for us to write an effective cover letter. So you're really going to need to position yourself as the best fit candidate, again, making sure that somehow you're tying yourself, your background, your skills, etc., into the company, their needs, their priorities, and their challenges. Okay. The next thing that we need to do is to proactively address questions that may come up in your application, right? Remember, two of the points that they wanted that said that they found would be useful in a cover letter is that you explain gaps and explain career changes. So if those two things are blaring, that you haven't been working in this industry or this field, and now all of a sudden you're applying for this job, they want to know where that is coming from. They want you to explain before they call you, and you're applying because, oh, it's a job, I need a job, versus this is intentional because I want to move in this new direction, right? So addressing those things is another thing that you can incorporate into your cover letter. Addressing any gaps. Hello, gaps. Last year, we probably had some gaps because of the pandemic, right? So talk about that, address it in the cover letter so that that's not a blaring question. You get rid of any fears that they have around, okay, why is this person not working? Why is there such a big gap? Even if it's not pandemic related, maybe you were taking care of your kids, or you were at school, or you had family, private family matters, whatever it was. The cover letter is a great place to briefly explain what has been going on and why there's a big gap in your resume, right? So the cover letter is a great place for you to be able to explain things that are going to be concerns for the employer. And then the third thing is you got to showcase your value, okay? You're going to need to highlight those professional achievements and describe career objectives. Those were two of the other things that they thought were going to be useful for a cover letter. So make sure that you're showcasing what it is that you do in a meaningful way. Achievements, quantifiable achievements. Try to put numbers and metrics behind the things that you're claiming that you can do or have done, right? Talk about what is the specific position that you're looking for or looking to move into. Make it clear, because they have a lot on their plates and they're not there to figure out and maybe he would be good fit for that or this, or oh, we have that. They're not doing that. You have to tell them very clearly, this is the job opening I'm looking at. This is the type of role I'd be perfect for. And this is why I'm good at what I do. Okay. You're going to need to be able to showcase those wins. And a lot of times, too many times, we do not sit down and make sure that we're clear on what it is that we do well with proof, success stories of what we have done to prove that we're good at this, right? So if you have not already, I need you to go back and sit down and write down at least, at the bare minimum, at least 5 stories of achievements that you have done throughout your career that would be relevant to the new job. So if you're making a career change, it may be a little bit more challenging because you may not see the connection. But if you don't see the connection, guess what? The employer is definitely not going to see the connection. So you're going to have to do this work so that your cover letters are strong and intentional, right? So that you're not just boring like every other job seeker out there. You're not pulling these random templates like every other job seeker out there. That's why they don't necessarily read them or find them useful, because you're not putting in this effort to make sure that you're selling yourself even in this cover letter. Okay, I'm going to pause here and see if there's any questions that I can answer before moving forward.
Yeah, we have some questions rolling in. A good one here from Carol. She asks, how often is a recruiter or hiring manager actually reading a cover letter? Do you think it's something they're skipping over, or are they taking the time to address them?
They are definitely skipping. I have to say that. Yeah. The last statistic I read, and this was a few years back, so it's probably lower, was 50%, half, right? Wow. And with that, you don't know what you're getting on the other side. Are you getting a reader or not? Yeah. You don't know. So guess what? If they're asking for one or requiring it, just have it ready to go and have a good one, because just in case they do read it, it will be worth their time. The other thing I want to say too is keep in mind, recruiters in general, they're definitely not reading that. They want to get straight to the resume to see what you have going on. Are you qualified before they even think about looking at a cover letter or passing you forward, right? However, when they do pass you on to the hiring manager is getting the full package. They're going to get the resume and a cover letter if you submitted one, and they're probably going to read it. So the hiring manager is going to read it more often than a recruiter would.
Okay, great. Another question here is if the position is located in a different location from where you're currently based, would the cover letter be a good place to express that you're willing to relocate?
Yes, cover letter will be a perfect place for you to talk about that, because if they see that you're qualified, but then they look at your address or whatnot and see that you're across the country, you may get ruled out. But if there's a cover letter there kind of explaining, you know, hey, I do intend on moving to the area in the next 2 months or whatnot, then that is no longer a barrier. So yes. Yeah.
Okay, let's do one more here. Lori asks, aren't quantifiable achievements in your resume? Why should we repeat them in our cover letter?
Ooh, good question. So you definitely do want to have quantifiables in your resume. Absolutely, you are correct. Why do you want to put them in the cover letter? Why not? I mean, if you're selling yourself, you could still talk about some of the statistics and some of the metrics, because if someone's reading the cover letter first, they're going to be intrigued, and then they're going to see that reinforced in the resume, and vice versa. If they read the resume first, they may not even see that one line you said with that specific statistic, but now if they read the cover letter, they may catch it. So it's just a matter of being able to put your best foot forward and make sure that people understand what you're bringing to the table, no matter where they end up, where they read first, it's there.
Okay, great. I think we can save these for later on. So if you want to keep going now.
Perfect. So one thing I wanted to address was, people hating cover letters. I know for me, myself, I hate writing cover letters as well. And so I want to talk about, do you hate writing cover letters? I would love for them to just throw it in the chat. Just answer this. Do you hate writing cover letters? Just a yes or no. I would love to know because I have a inkling that most people here can't stand writing a cover letter. And I want to, as we move through this, kind of talk about understanding why you hate cover letters and helping you to start to overcome some of the things that you're resistant to when it comes to writing these cover letters. Because we already established that they are alive and you do raise your chances of, selling yourself and putting your best foot forward if you have one. So now how do you overcome I just can't stand writing cover letters? Do we have an overwhelming amount of yeses, I hate it, or we have a mix?
Yes, the chat is overflowing with yeses.
I figured that. Yes, absolutely. So here's the thing. There's a couple of reasons why you hate writing cover letters. You may not know what to say, right? So, I have to write a cover letter. What am I supposed to say? That's when you go into panic mode and you go to Google and you just say, I need a cover letter. You don't know what to put in there. You don't know what's important. You don't know what they want to see. You don't know what they don't want to see. And so this could be why you hate it, because you don't know what to write. Okay. If you understand that, then you know that you need to start to understand what it is that you have to say in a cover letter for it to be useful, which we talked about. Okay. Another reason, you're uncomfortable talking about yourself. I hear this a lot as well, where, I don't want to brag and I don't want to be, talking about myself. I feel like it's just too much. Like my experience should speak for itself. No, it should not. No, it does not. And you're going to have to, at some point or another, get comfortable talking about yourself if you're in the job market. Because guess what? Employers do want to know about what you can do for them. And, we'll talk about this in a second, but when you start to recognize that it's not necessarily you talking about yourself per se, but it's more about talking about your employer, your future boss and their department and their company, this could help with that. But we'll get into that in a second. But if you're uncomfortable talking about yourself, I really, 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 really encourage you to start getting more comfortable talking about yourself. Because when you get to interviews, they're going to be asking you all about your background, all about the things you've done, and it's time for you to shine. The cover letter, the resume, the LinkedIn profile, that is not the time to be bashful, to be, modest and all of that. It's time to show them who you are. So you need to be proud of your accomplishments and you really need to showcase who you are, because guess what? They don't know who you are. All they have is this piece of paper, this resume, this Word doc, this cover letter, and you have to put your best foot forward and talk about the things that you're offering and the value that you bring. Another reason, no one's going to read it anyway. So what's the point, right? Yes, I get that, because a lot of them, we already talked about the fact that a lot of people don't even find them useful and they may not get read, but what if they do? You would have missed an opportunity to stand out. Because if 58% of people are not submitting the cover letter, you're going to become someone who stands out if you do, right? So if it's a tie and you have a cover letter that is strong and powerful, guess who's going to get the call back? Probably you with the cover letter. So don't think that way. Definitely just put your best foot forward. Make sure you're selling yourself at every opportunity. Whether it gets read or not, you know that you have submitted what you know is going to be strong, and help do everything in your power to put your best foot forward. And you could be just burnt out, like, why is the application process so long? Oh my God, I just uploaded my resume. Now I have to fill out this application. Now I want a cover letter, right? I totally get it. And that was my reason for hating them because it was such a long process And now I have to write a cover letter. Now you want it tailored, and give me a template of Google, right? But the reality is, it's not in your best interest to just, for lack of a better word, half-ass your cover letter. You want to put your best foot forward, because if they're asking you for all these things and you do everything in your power, you did everything. Because what if they ask for the cover letter and you're like, oh, whatever, they're doing too much, and you get ruled out because you didn't follow the directions and put a cover letter? That could definitely happen. They're only going to pull from the people who followed all the directions. So if they're requiring a cover letter, you're going to need to put one in there, right? So these could be some of the reasons why you don't like writing cover letters. But what if you knew exactly what to say, right? And it wasn't a guessing game. You didn't have to think about it. You're not, burning your brain trying to figure out what am I supposed to say here. Then you would embrace it, and it'd be not a problem, right? So you're going to need to know what to say, which we talked about a little bit already in terms of what they find useful and the things that they're looking for, okay? What if you were excited to talk about yourself because you shifted the perspective from this is all about me and my background and what I've done to this is all about them and what they need from me, right? Then it would be easy because you're not talking about yourself. You're talking about them, and you're telling them how they can fix their problems by hiring you, right? So it kind of shifts the focus from, oh, they want to know about me to they want to know about themselves and what it is that you can do for them, okay? What if the employer not only read your cover letter, but they loved it enough to call? Yeah, so this has happened to a few of my clients, or they said, oh my God, they actually complimented my cover letter and they said it was a great cover letter. It was the best cover letter. They do matter. They are a factor, okay? And they may not be 100% as important as a resume, but they do matter. So if you knew they may read it and call you as a result of it, like I said, if you put the cover letter in there and the rest of your competition did not, and there were some ties and the cover letter ended up being a tiebreaker, and they called you because your cover letter was great, you would love submitting cover letters, right? And what if you had an easy to tweak template, right? So literally, oh, I need a cover letter, boom, I have a template, plug, 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 boom. Then it would take the struggle away and you'd be good to go, okay? I'm going to give you some easy to tweak templates towards the end. You're gonna stay tuned and see how you can get access to those. But think about why you hate writing cover letters and realize that it's really not that bad, okay? Now I'm gonna move into 6 secrets to get your cover letter not only read and noticed, but to call you, okay? Secret number 1, it's not a cover letter. Stop thinking of this as a necessary evil that's required, right? Think of this as your opportunity to propose something that's valuable to your future boss, right? Because we think of cover letters, oh, I have to do this cover letter, they're asking for it. Now it's a daunting task. It's not. Think of it as a value proposition letter. That's what I call them, right? So in your value proposition letter, you're not going to grab a template because that's not going to work for you. It's not going to propose the value. You're going to have to come up with these things. And a template off Google is not going to work, okay? You want to focus on the value that you're offering. Remember what I said in the beginning about some of the things they found useful? And one of them was making sure that you portray why you want to work for them, right? The value proposition letter will literally tie your background to their needs, Okay. So you want to focus on the value you're offering and offer the proof of what you can do with real examples, right? And then be specific and emphasize what's going to matter to them the most. Now, this is not going to be a quick, easy boom, boom, boom. You're going to need to really be thinking about it. You're going to have to do that, some prep work, right? Because remember, I talked about knowing what your value is and understanding what accomplishments you have that are relevant to the type of roles you're targeting. That's going to be important. We need to be intentional with our job search, not just applying to anything because we need a job, right? That doesn't work as well as a targeted specific job search. So once you know and understand what you're offering, right, it allows the company to see that you are going to be valuable to them and a good fit, right? So you're going to need to know what is in it for them, right? What problems you're solving for them, and who you are as a professional that fits nicely into that. I have right now a quick example of a value proposition letter right here, right? So this was a client of mine, and she was looking to get into a YMCA as a spinning instructor. There was a posting available, and she had saw a LinkedIn post I posted about, it's not a cover letter, it's value proposition and stuff. And she created this and sent it to me. I tweaked it up a little bit for her, but it was great. So I wanted to use it, and I asked her if I could use it as my example of a value proposition letter, right? So it starts off, if your center is looking to increase participation, value, be an ally to the body positive movement, value, and boost membership, value, I can help. How valuable is that, right? So as an employer, if I work at the Y, and I know some of my stats are around, membership levels and, increased participation in classes, I'm already kind of interested, right? So to start off that way is very important. Then she goes into who she is. I'm a certified spinning instructor, and I will enhance this center's reputation by offering a fun-filled environment of inclusivity, a non-intimidating safe space for all genders, levels, shapes, and sizes. This approach will not only increase the diverse group of members and revenue for the YMCA, but increase the confidence of individuals who may be intimidated or new to cycling and reaching their goals. Problem. So she's calling out some issues and some problems that she could help them solve, right? How am I so sure? Proof. The proof is coming. I have created customized cycle rides based on the level of participation, which have proven to boost participation levels up to 36%. Proof. Oh, she did that for them. She could probably come in here and do some things like that for us, right? Then she ties it back to them again. After visiting the Y on several occasions, I have some innovative ideas to create a customized and inclusive environment that I would like to share with you. Let's book a call to discuss my potential contribution to your, that's a typo, contribution to your center. I will call you this Wednesday. Looking forward to it, right? That's a value proposition letter. Telling them, this is what I'm going to do for you. Here's the proof that I can do it. Let's talk, right? Instead of it starting off the same way, oh, I'm so excited to see you posting on Indeed for the marketing position, right? Like, let's get to something interesting that's going to be compelling to your future boss, okay? Any questions about that before I move on to secret number 2?
Let's see if there are any questions about that exact thing. What are some good opening lines? I know that this particular person has a really good intro, but is there some kind of like formula that somebody can follow for a good opening line?
So there's a few things, and that's moving to my secret number 2.
Oh, perfect.
Start with a bang. Right? So you could start with a couple of things. A thought-provoking question, right? Like a what if, you know, what if you could double your sales even in a pandemic, right? Stuff like that, like, oh, that would be great, right? Perk up, like a yes, thought-provoking question with the answer is like a positive yes, I want to know more type of answer. You could make a big claim about what you do, right? I help organizations triple their revenue in 6 months. You've done it, so you can say that's what you do, right? That's a big claim, a nice opening. Say something specific about the company, right? I know that TGI Fridays has had a big challenge with bringing in new customers in the wake of the pandemic. So now, like, oh, you understand us. This is about us. You see what I mean? So those are some ways that you could start off strong. I don't necessarily have a formula, but I have different ideas, and some of the templates that I'm going to offer at the end are going to have some ideas as well.
I think that's great. And just as a quick follow-up, a couple of people are asking, what's a good way to learn what a company does need so that you can kind of address some of their specific relevant needs?
I'm going to go skip to secret number 4 and come back to 3. The job description is your cheat sheet. Read the job description. And if you want to even go deeper, Google them, and then on Google, you can pick the categories, right? So on Google, you can pick images or all. There's news. So put their name of the company, and then hit news. See what's going on with them in the news, right? That's a great way to see what's been going on, to see what challenges may be coming up. Maybe you can put their industry in news, so you can see what's going on in the industry. So wow, like we all kind of notice that restaurants are like failing right now, right? But we know that rideshare and like gig jobs are on the rise. So knowing what's going on in the industry and kind of like keeping an ear on news and things like that could be a great way that you can draw some conclusions. Some companies have their financials on the internet because it's public companies. You go and see like, oh, you guys took a dip, right? You have to dig. Another thing is follow them on LinkedIn, because a lot of news and things are on LinkedIn as well. And then you could, if you're bold enough, you could start following their employees and literally reaching out to them to have informational interviews. Hey, what's going on in the company? I'm really interested in working here. What do you feel like are some of the challenges that you guys are facing right now? Oh, you know what? Right now, we're having a big issue with XYZ. So there's different ways that you can find the information. You have to put the time and the energy and the effort into finding out so that your cover letter is going to be very specific to what it is that's going on with them right now. And, not just the cover letter. When you are interviewing, you bring these things up, right? When you're networking with people that may work there or talking to recruiters and things like that, you can start bringing these things up, not just the cover letter, right? But use a job description as a bare minimum for your cheat sheet. So the job description is going to tell you what their priorities are. And I should have put a job description in here and kind of show you what are some of the things to look for. Dang it, that would have been a great example. But pretty much the job description is always going to talk about what the focus of the role will be and what it is that they're looking for you to do. You just have to really focus in and read and kind of read almost between the lines. And then use that information in your cover letter, right? Use the same verbiage, use the same kind of phrases. I have a couple of other examples, and I can point out some of the phrases I literally pulled from the job description to make it very specific and relevant in the way in which they word things. All right, so let me go back to secret number 3, which we skipped, was the shorter, the better. Short and sweet, guys. Nobody's gonna read your cover letter if it's 2 pages long, if it's 1,000 words. Like, our attention spans are like rock bottom. these days. So you definitely need to get in and get out. Say what you have to say, make it short and sweet and powerful, right? 200 words or less. All the examples that I have here are 200 words or less. Okay. So, 3 to 5 very short paragraphs and just get into it. No need to draw it out talking about, oh, I saw your position on Indeed for the XYZ role. Like, we know. What's your point, right? So get into it. Make sure it's short and sweet because no one has time to be reading long, drawn out cover letters. Secret number 5, try to address it to a real person. Okay. When a cover letter, I know a lot of recruiters, and I've heard this before several times. Man, they found my name. They found me and they addressed it to me. They love that. It feels more personal. It feels like you took the time. It doesn't sound like well, depending on what you say in there, it could still sound like a template, but it makes it that much more enjoyable and more welcoming. Like, oh, this addressed to me. They figured out who I was. Let me take a look. At least they're going to read the first line. If the first line is boring, they're probably not going to continue. But this is another great way to get it read, because what you want to do is address them by their first name, and make sure that whatever you're talking about is going to be relevant to that. So if you can, address it to a real person. How do you find a real person? Call the company, HR, say, hey, I'm applying for this specific position. I would love to know who the contact name is for, my application. They'll tell you, usually. If you wanted to email, you could use email as a way to find out. If you found maybe the position online and then you go on LinkedIn, you can sometimes find the recruiter who posted the job. There's your name right there. There's different ways of digging. And I will tell you, if you really want a specific job, it will be worth it to go through these extra little hoops because you want to stand out. Job seekers nowadays, they're not trying to do all. We already saw the stats. 58% do not send a cover letter at all, right? Even with thank you letters, last statistic I heard was like a little bit less than half of people were sending thank you letters afterwards. So these little things that you could do really, really set you apart. Do not underestimate. And then secret number 6, the last secret, is ask for what you want. So basically, try not to leave it to, I look forward to hearing from you. Like, tell them, I want an interview. I would love to speak with you further about this. I will call you on next Wednesday, and then follow up. Do call them. I submitted my resume. I will call you in 2 days, whatever, and then call them, because you want to show that you are serious. You want to show that you are assertive and you want the job. So don't be afraid and feel like, oh, I don't want to be too pushy. You're not being pushy. You're asking for an interview. So ask for what it is that you want at the end of the cover letter. Always somehow say what you want to happen next. Do you want to talk to them in person? Do you want them to call to schedule something? What is it that you want? Ask for what you want. I'm going to show some samples. But before I do that, I think it's a good time to pause again for any questions up until this point, maybe.
Sure. We do have a lot of questions, and someone had asked, what if you dig and dig and dig and you just can't find the name of a recruiter or hiring manager? Then how would you recommend addressing that cover letter?
Yeah, so then if you really don't have a name and you really did all you could, you can definitely just say to hiring official, their hiring manager, their recruiter. Don't use to whom it may concern. That's like very like late 80s, 90s. Don't do that. But definitely try to fill it in with, whatever their title would be, hiring manager or director of marketing, if you feel like it'll go straight to your future boss, HR personnel. You could say those type of things in instead of an actual name. You can use phrases.
Okay. And what about if you really want to explain why you want to join that particular company? but the recruiter who posted the job posting doesn't disclose the actual company that they're recruiting for. Should you try to be more industry specific, or what would be a good solution to that?
That's a great question. I mean, if you don't know what the company is, you can't really be
Right.
specific. But what you could do is speak to the role.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So if someone, and you could look at the job description and determine what they want out of this person, right? So it doesn't, if you can't talk about the company, you can definitely talk about the position itself and show why you want to do this role, why you'd be perfect for this position, or why you're moving into this type of role or field, and that type of thing.
Okay, and then A. Buccelli is asking, do you recommend having one cover letter model that you can then just personalize for every job you're applying for? Or do you think it's important to write a completely new one for every application?
I definitely don't want you to write a whole cover letter every single time.
Okay.
Get a nice, good, solid flow template and tweak
Mhm.
it.
Okay, great. Let's see if there's just one more we can grab here. Oh, here's a fun one. Just curious, Brianna says, how do you feel about the new video cover letter trend on TikTok?
What? Okay, so I love it because I've been wanting to like move away from written resumes and stuff and move it to video. But when I polled some recruiters, they were like, "No, we just need the resume because they
Yeah.
filter things through the system, right?" But now that they're doing this on TikTok, I think it's awesome. I love it because you get to show you who you are. Like you guys
Mhm.
can see me. If you follow me on LinkedIn, you can see how I type, but like to see me move and my gestures and my jokes and my whatever, it's different. Like you get to know the person a whole lot more by like a quick, 30-second clip. And I
Mhm.
love it. Um, but for TikTok, it's going to be a challenge for the older generation because they're not into that type of stuff. And it's really more niche for people that are younger and more creative. So if more people could embrace it, I think it would be awesome. But I do still think that there's a lot of folks that are just not going to get on that bandwagon right now.
Mhm.
It's
Okay.
literally the new wave. So, but if you are comfortable and confident, get on there and do it. I definitely recommend that for sure. But if you get on there and you're like, hi, my name is such and such, like you're not gonna get far. You have to
Yeah.
show a little bit of personality.
Okay. Yeah. I love that. Why don't you go ahead and continue
Okay,
to make sure we have time here?
awesome. So a couple of examples, and I don't know how well you guys can read this, but I'll read it, skim through it a little bit for you. This one starts off by her talking about, well, it says, I love helping companies unlock the power of technology without forgetting that it's people who make it happen. Whoa, that's powerful, right? So she's a IT PM project manager. And so this was kind of her like positioning. She didn't want to forget about the people, even though she's all about technology. So that's part of her brand, her uniqueness, and she wanted to make that clear. So that's what I created for her opening line because it was interesting and intriguing and speaks to what she's going to bring to the table, right? And then she talked about her career. Throughout her career, I've been repeatedly summoned to recover broken processes. We got some broken processes, right? Rebuild project teams and realign priorities to deliver complex technology projects. Oh my God, you're perfect. We have a lot of stuff you need to come and fix for us, right? So she's already giving what she's going to be able to do for them. Then she highlights her accomplishments. You'll probably see a lot of this in my examples because I love calling out specific examples that's going to be relevant, right? I'm not going to go through those, but they're quantifiable. And then she talks about it's my love for technology, data, and people that has fueled my success thus far. And then she talks about at this juncture, she's looking to leverage her skills in leading others in a job title position. So this is where she could just tweak it based on the role. And then at a progressive company like company name. That little piece you can definitely tweak based on the company, right? So progressive company, industry leading company who focuses on, you know, whatever, helping the economy, whatever that company's about, you can plug that in there and it's great, right? You call out the name and you talk about what they stand for or some of the values they have as a company, and you tie it back into what you do, and it could work. So it goes on to say, a company like such and such, where I can streamline PMO operations, value, to avoid delays, value, and ensure project delivery, value, right? So these are the things that she's promising to do. And then, of course, please feel free to contact me. Thank you for your consideration. So that's another good example. I have a couple more examples. Where are we time? Okay, cool. I'm not gonna go through all of these, but this one starts off. You are seeking a revenue-focused product manager who continually strives for excellence to select and manage your ODM partners and lead a growing team. That's a typo, but this was pulled from the job description, right? So this part about revenue-focused product manager strives for excellence, that's pulled from the job description and used in the opening line. This is what you said you want. Great. This is where I excel, right? And then he goes into, you know, what he's done, of course, talking about his accomplishments. I would love the opportunity to create similar results for your organization so that you could continue solving some of the biggest challenges around safety and physical security by developing advanced technologies to help keep people, businesses, and cities around the world safer. This probably came from the company website. So now you understand us, you know what we're about. You know what? Let's talk, because you have some value, you understand us, etc. See, so these are different ways in which you could weave in some of the things we talked about today. This one was someone who was transitioning. So she was doing a career change. So I want to tell her story a little bit more. Opening line, as a child, I had an undying love for clothes and fashion. Okay. As an adult, I spend my spare time researching fashion trends, checking out current looks, blah, 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 blah. So she's talking about the fact that what she's looking to do now is her passion and always have been. She was moving from supply chain operations procurement into, she wanted to be a fashion buyer. So we want to tell a story in this cover letter about why she's making this change and what is fueling her to move into this, and also some, you know, a few things that make her qualified, right? So once I decided to pursue a position as a fashion buyer, I completed 2 courses in fashion buying and merchandising. These classes not only taught me the industry specific knowledge, but now I have a holistic picture of the field from a practical perspective, which fuels my passion for the fashion world, right? So she's just making it relevant to, look, I know I don't have a lot of experience, but I took some classes, I've done what I can, give me an opportunity, because it's in my blood. Like, I love it from a child, right? And so this other paragraph also ties it back together about bringing in her skills from having to negotiate with suppliers to become a strong candidate for these type of roles. And then this last example was from someone who was also making a little bit of a career change, but she really loved this company. So her says, when I found your posting for the inside sales position, I was intrigued. So I went to YouTube and binged on several videos about what it's like to work for WXYZ. I was blown away. And she was like, wow. So she's talking about why she was blown away. Not only do you value work-life balance and take pride in not forcing women, working moms, to choose between childcare and work, but you're dedicated to creating products that save lives. This was a medical device company, I believe. I would be honored to offer my expertise in medical sales to drive revenue for an industry-leading corporation like you. Then she goes into what she's done, why she's good. Quantifiables are in here as well, and it ties it together quite nicely. She talks about contacting them next week, especially for a salesperson. Want to be a little bit more aggressive, and then, you know, you do want to follow up. So those are the examples that I had to share. So to wrap up, I wanted to talk about the offer that I had. Do you want me to move forward into that? I know we're like 4 minutes left.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. So, I talk a lot about cover letters today, but I did touch on some other things as it relates to the job search in general and making sure that you are very aware of what your value is and making sure that you're clear on how you bring value and those type of things. So I wanted to offer not just a cover letter thing, but a more comprehensive job search kit. The job search success kit includes a job search checklist, right? So all the things that you could do to make sure that you're intentional about your job search, from making sure that you understand the value you bring, the type of roles you want, companies you want, all of those things. There's also a LinkedIn optimizer workbook in there to make sure your profile is optimized so people can find you. LinkedIn for job search. So it's basically a training of me walking you through different ways that you can maximize your time on LinkedIn to connect with the right people. There's email templates. So we talked about cover letters, but what if you're on LinkedIn and you want to connect with potential recruiters or hiring managers? It's a little bit of a different style, but I have templates in there for that as well. There's also a resume tailoring class teaching you how to use that job description, like I said, to plop in the good information that's most relevant. And then a tracker. So make sure that you're on track and you're monitoring and you're knowing what you're doing in your job search and not just randomly applying for things and losing track, right? So it's only $27. Okay, all of that. If you are wanting to take advantage, the link is bit.do/job search success kit. Again, the checklist, the LinkedIn workbook, the email templates, the LinkedIn training, the resume tailoring, the job search tracker. And for you guys, I'm throwing in the 5 cover letter templates that turn heads. Yes. So in these templates, there's one that is great for career changers. There's one that's great for new grads. There's one that's great for just established professionals. And they are really, really, really good and easy, right? So all you have to do is plop in the information that I asked for in the red, delete the red, and you've got your cover letters ready to go. Okay, super duper easy. So as a bonus, I'm throwing that in. Those cover letter templates do not typically come with the success kit, but for only $27, you can get the cover letter templates and all of those things to help you with your job search. And that is it, guys.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Melanie. Everybody, we're just about out of time here. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And Melanie, I hope you're looking at the chat because everyone is so appreciative and just enjoyed it so much and learned so much. I really enjoyed your presentation too. And I hope everyone feels a little bit less anxiety around writing their cover letters now. If you want 20% off Jobscan Premium, you can go to the promo link that's at the bottom of this slide here. It is www.jobscan.co/no-fear. And that will be 20% off monthly, a monthly or quarterly plan. And the quarterly plan also comes with a 2-week free trial. Please also check out all of our other webinar topics at jobscan.co/no-fear. We have some great topics and presenters lined up still. That's it for today's presentation. Melanie is going to leave this slide up and the chat box open as people start filing out. Best of luck to all of you in your job search. Thanks, Melanie.